Hello world, this is Ina and I am so happy to have you here because today we're going to have a super special guest. I can't wait to have her on. Her name is Angela Govila and she's my dear friend. We started work almost at the same time. I'm a little bit older than she is. We'll get into that. She is amazing. She has been my friend for a very long time and I can't wait to have her on. She sent me a message asking me if it's ready. Refresh the page and you will see me. She's going to come in a couple seconds. So what I wanted to tell you is we are going to be talking about how she started her side hustle. So she started in corporate just like a lot of us, right? Just like a lot of people watching me here. And so basically what I wanted to get to the bottom of is when did she decide to start her side hustle? And how did she even think of starting to do speaking engagements? I didn't even think that was a thing. I didn't even think that was something that I should be pursuing. But somehow she got speaking engagements like just right off the bat. It's just something that she just started doing until people started flying her out to conferences, all expenses paid, just to hear her talk. So I really wanted to have her on to ask her, how did she come up with this idea? How did she do this, right? And see if she can actually tell us so that we can do it ourselves. So there she is. She just sent me a message and I'm going to click on her name and I'm going to say, add to the broadcast. And there she is.
How are you?
Oh, my best bud. I was just giving you a hope what was a fair introduction, but I really want you to introduce yourself to everyone and what is it that you do, and then we're gonna dive deep because what people want to hear about is how this whole speaking engagement situation even got started, and then we'll take it from there. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I can do that. Ina, thank you for having me today. I'm excited to be talking to you about the whole journey as well. So I'm the founder and CEO of Strategic Business Consulting. It's a boutique startup in Seattle. We do product management, digital transformation, and program management consulting and training. And the way I got started in this is I have an extensive corporate career. We started our life together at GE as part of the IMLP program. Undergrad from Penn State, technology background, GE, Ernst & Young, and Capital One. So pretty extensive corporate career.
Yeah, some people don't even know this about me, about you. We started out basically in the management of the technical world, which is actually why, here's a little Easter egg. I don't know if people have caught on to it, that whenever I introduce my videos, I say, hello world, hello world, hello world, hello world, hello world, hello world, because that is the very first program that you write when you're learning a programming language. So I don't know if anybody has ever caught that, but that's why I say hello world. But yeah, so management of technical stuff is what Angie and I started out with. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah. No, that's cool. And so your question around the speaking stuff, really, okay, so I'm going to give you the backstory of how, I don't think you know this one.
Talk to me.
So I grew up in the Middle East. So growing up, I loved public speaking. I used to participate in debates. I used to do, speech contests and all that. I emceed for the school. But when you change countries at the age of 18, all that confidence just disappears. So I moved to Penn State for my undergrad. And I was quiet as a mouse. You would not know my existence in a class. And that is so contrary to my personality.
That is very hard to picture for me right now.
Long story short, started my first job. And I remember as part of the IMLP program, we had to do these pitches to the sub-CIO group. I don't know if you had it in your line of business, but we had to present every month on what we were working on as part of it was a high intensity leadership program, right? So they gave us a lot of great exposure. And I remember just freezing up in this first meeting. It was all men older than me. I was the only person of color in the room. And I got just completely freaked out. And I was just stuck. I did not speak. And then, one person kind of gave me a way of, can just read the slides. And I was just so embarrassed. And I remembered, I still remember that day because that was a life-changing moment for me. I decided I was going to invest in my public speaking skills that day. And this was back in 2005. And so I had heard about Toastmasters at one of my internships from Martha Delahanty, who leads HR for Verizon now. And that tip is what really kind of made the difference in my entire career in life. I would tell people to invest in their communications, because even when, this is just a conversation, but even leaving a voicemail or just talking to someone and trying to explain a point, that skill of being able to articulate your thoughts clearly comes in handy, whether you're talking to 200 people or whether you're talking to one person. So Toastmasters gets my thumbs up. It's been life-changing for me. This chapter is all over the world. I don't know. The cost is like minimal. It's like, honestly, I don't even remember, but it's completely worth it. It's like a few dollars a month. So that was a while back. And then every now and then I'd do the Toastmasters clubs at every organization I would join because I'm so passionate about it. The real thing really started this February when I decided, you know what, it's time to kick up the pace in my life a little bit. Turned 35 this year, pivotal year. It's a lot of introspection. And I decided I want to focus on my passions. I'm a super creative person. And I really like producing things. So speaking is part of it. And then writing is another part of it. So in January, I just started doing a lot more of that. Started writing articles on LinkedIn. Enjoyed writing so much. It just de-stresses me a lot. I really love the fact. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I just say something just for everybody who doesn't know? So at the time, so in January, right, that's when I had quit my job, and Angie and I just kind of got like back in touch, and she was telling me about her speaking engagements, and I'm like, okay, so I set up a speaking engagement for myself. I'm like, okay, she's doing it. I'm gonna go out and do it. So I asked her. We've been talking over WhatsApp, and I asked her, okay, Angie, like, tell me, what do I need to know? Because it's not just from the way she was talking about it. I'm like, she knows a lot of stuff that I don't. And mind you, I am an amazing public speaker. But when when I was talking to Angela, she was telling me tips about like posture and what to wear, right? I know kind of like the basics, but the way Angela was talking about, I'm like, I'm talking to somebody who knows stuff that I don't. So I started asking, I'm like, okay, tell me just the download. What do I need to know? So she sent me probably like 20 or 30 WhatsApp voice notes. So like, this is what you do. This is what you watch out for. Where to set up the camera, how to, the photographer do this and this. And I'm like, okay, I saved all of those. We shared them with each other for posterity. And immediately she turned around and she's like, you know what? I'm going to write an article about this. So there is an article out there that actually has all of this gold on Angela's LinkedIn profile, and if you give me the link, I can put it in the description of this episode. But that's the goal. Like the personal advice that I got, it's all in an article somewhere out there. I'm gonna put the link to that article, so you can just check it out.
Completely forgot about it. You're so right, and it came out of this conversation, and that was specifically for a panel, because panels are very different than just speaking on stage to an audience. So to answer your question, how I got started, I use two websites. One is speakerhub.com and the other is papercall.io. And I looked at tech conferences. My background is tech, product management, digital transformation, and women in tech. So I do a lot of mentoring for them. And so just found the right keywords, probably applied to 20 or more conferences to speak, and then got rejected by almost 90% of them because I didn't have a web presence. So I decided, you know what, these rejections are coming through because there's nothing for them to look at. And they don't really give you reasons of the rejection, all right? You just get a decline email. There's no feedback process. There's no back and forth. It's just, and every application you have to fill out an array of questions talking about your background, what you've done, what you want to talk about, why you want to talk about it, and it can't be a promotional pitch, right? It really has to be valuable to the audience. So that's when I thought, website has to be there. So I've had my domain forever. And when I was graduating from Penn State, I had a kick-ass website back in the day that ended up with like 6 to 7 offers just because of that. And I'm like, God, why didn't I think of that? So I invested in the website, built it up, found old pictures of stuff I had done, some of it at work, some of it outside of work. So I was relatively active. I do something once a year, I would say, from a speaking standpoint. But since February, kind of kicked up a notch. And I think my learnings are, well, there's a lot to share. So use every opportunity you get. So even if you're talking to a local meetup and there's 10 people there, because that happened to me. One of the first ones I did was to a university in Boston, UMass, your university, Ina. So I was speaking to UMass Amherst, And unfortunately, I couldn't be in Boston. So we did it over video and I lost a lot of people. So more people that would have showed up in the room. So the audience was not more than 10 people. And I was like, you know what? Doesn't matter. It's experience. I did the slides. I did the presentation. I answered questions. I learned what I knew and what I like really need to learn about more and what I'm not able to articulate clearly. Because I would ask for feedback at the end and people were kind enough to actually fill out SurveyMonkey. The next one was at a meetup. Again, 10 people, but this time it was in person. So it's a different interaction. People want to stick around and talk to you more. They want to dive deep. And again, recorded that, then figured out how to edit it on iMovie Maker, put it on YouTube, that whole 9 yards. That started building up my website. And only those two were the ones that I really, like out of the 20 conferences applied, that translated. And then everything after that, people just saw it. I posted on LinkedIn. So other people started reaching out. I haven't reached out for a single thing in the last few months because they see things and they invite me. And if I'm able to do it, we partner up. So the Institute of Business Analysts, Women in Tech Regatta, the Hacking HR Forum that was just this week, were all a result of that. The one that I did, so I wanted to visit mom and dad in the Middle East. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to be there. It's a new market. Why don't I explore it? Because the other thing I did was I used my speaking engagements as a way to measure my target audience. So there were two things happening in parallel. One was me finding my passions and coming out and saying, you know what, I'm just going to go for my passions. Second was a couple people reaching out to me and saying, hey, Angela, we loved working with you on X, Y, and Z. Will you be able to help us? You know, can you just join us for a few hours a week or, you know, like X number of hours and help us out? It's like, okay, I think I can. So those two kind of merged together. And I started figuring out, you know what, I'm talking to people who want to listen to my work. They are my target audience. Why don't I test out a few ideas? And that resulted into the idea of doing a course on product management. And then I was like, you know what, I'm going to see mom and dad. Let's see the international market and test the waters. I reached out to a local digital group there and partnered with them and did a meetup sort of event there. And oh my God, there were like almost no empty seat in the house. And I could not believe the graceful reception I got. And my family was in the audience. So they got to see me in action. And I just love it. So it just kind of beams through. And I'm able to help people. And there's a market out there as well of people eager and interested in wanting to learn about product management. So that's how I, kind of started the business. And the way I've thought about it is it's here to stay. It's for the long run. It's a side hustle because I'm definitely certainly very passionate about it. It's going to translate into more opportunities. But the real message, I have for my audience and for your audience is to take the opportunity and then build on it. Don't lose the opportunity. So don't be scared. In my day job, I've had to run planning meetings with 120, 140 people in the room.
Right.
When you've dealt with that kind of stress and you have an awesome team around you, when that team disappears, you're kind of doing everything on your own, right? You're the chief janitor, you're the chief executive officer, chief marketing officer, you're the IT support, you're everything, right? You have been amazing because you've been my expert to go to when I was stuck on, hey, LLC versus anything else, right? So like seeking out experts when you know you're stuck is like the other tip because you don't know everything. And even if you know your niche, that is about it. And you've got to be open-minded to new ideas and how to do things differently.
I wanted to dive into that because actually I was going to mention that I actually have a freebie that was inspired by Angela because so there's a couple things in there that she just said, which is about taking up opportunities, right? So opportunities don't just come knocking at your door. A lot of times they do, so we have to be prepared to say yes to them, but sometimes we have to go and seek them out and make our own opportunities. So what I did was I created a freebie, and you can access it by going to inacoveney.com/ actually, let me skip that part because I need to come up with a link because I haven't actually come up with a link for it yet. Let's call it opportunities. You know what? Go to inacoveney.com/ opportunities at the end of this live. After this. So let me say that again. go to inacoveney.com/opportunities to download a freebie that I created. And it's a full resource guide on where to find opportunities to speak, where to find opportunities to write guest blog posts. So in the beginning, when nobody knows who you are, when you're just behind the scenes, what you want to do is put your name out there. Like Angela did, put your hat in the ring for the speaking opportunities, and let the rejections come, but hang on to those acceptances, right? And when opportunity comes knocking on your door, be ready to say yes. I had another guest on the show who had she was working out at a gym, and the owner knew that she liked like all this nutrition stuff. So he asked her, hey, do you mind creating like a nutrition challenge for the gym? She could have totally said, dude, I work full time. I'm just here to have fun. That sounds like a lot of work. No thanks. She ended up taking that idea, honing that challenge, and turning it into a business that is booming. And she's
wow.
So this just speaks to just saying yes to stuff. Don't just get so hung up in your head that it's like, no, I just don't have time. It's not what I want to do. It's always a learning opportunity.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to talk, well, first of all, you said a lot of stuff in there. First of all, about Toastmasters. I had heard about them before. I thought they were like it sounds like to learn how to give toasts. Okay? So tell us what they are. What is Toastmasters?
Yeah, Toastmasters is a non-profit organization that has international chapters. The website is toastmasters.org. And you're right, the name, it was started in California, if I remember the history right. The name really does come from the fact that people should be able to give better toasts, like at a wedding. Toast
right.
To you, right? So that's where the name does come from. But every chapter does it differently. The chapter I went to in Connecticut did 2 hours a week. And so what they would do is they would ask people to sign up to give speeches. And so very self-organized setup. So nobody's forcing you to speak, right? You can just go observe for months and not say a single word in that meeting. You show up, you observe for a while. If you decide to speak up, you sign up to give a speech. They give you a speech manual that in the beginning tells you to focus on eye contact, gestures, body language, how to pause, how to use your space, how to make one point in one part of the room, and then go to another part of the room to make another point. So when you go through those speeches, you're learning so much about the art of public speaking. And when you see people like the great speakers of our time, like Barack Obama, right? Phenomenal. Oh my God, Bill Clinton, right? Just charismatic speakers. You can see how they've just elevated what you learn in that booklet that you get from Toastmasters to like a whole new level. So you get this eye for recognizing how they're doing certain things. How are they interacting with the audience? How are they answering questions? So, so Toastmasters is that safe space where people can go experiment at their own pace. Uh-huh. They also have one component where they let people go extempore, unplanned. So they'll pick a topic from a hat. Anybody can raise their hand and talk about it. So it could be my last vacation or my favorite meal, and you got to talk about it for 1 minute. And so these are little spurts of, just off the cuff, being able to answer something in a difficult situation. So yeah, that's what it's about.
I feel like I do that every day, though. I feel like I'll just get on camera and be like, what am I going to talk about? Okay, that's it. And then 5 minutes of stuff just spills out. If you want your kids to not have any stage fright, put them in theater. Dude, that takes care of it for life. It's a lifelong skill to be in theater. So opportunities, right? So I really want to know, because I know a lot of people are going to be really wondering, how did you get such a great turnout internationally? You were not even there. How did you go about inviting people? How did you know who to invite, setting up the room? Tell me about that international experience.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. So the international experience was in Dubai. It is in United Arab Emirates. The way I approached it was I went to meetup.com. If people don't know about Meetup, it's an app and a website where you can go find local events happening in your area and sign up to participate. Every group may have a fee, may not have a fee. You can find areas of interest. So I found a digital and tech meetup group in Dubai that had like 10,000 people. Like, whoa, what is the whole thing about? So I found, and on Meetup, you can find the organizers' names. And I reached out to them on LinkedIn to say, hey, I'm coming into town. Here's my background. And now by then, I had this laundry list of things I had done, including writing, getting featured in a couple of other, sort of publications, my YouTube channel, direct videos, LinkedIn updates. So there was just so much content I could share that just kept coming up. So to them, they're always looking for fresh talent, and they're always looking for people with different experiences. And especially, I've been in leadership roles, so I bring a viewpoint of here's what works and here's what doesn't work. So learn from our mistakes that over the years we've learned. So that was the real selling point. Yeah. And so finding a local partner internationally became super important. For anybody thinking about international, whether you're looking to launch a product internationally, so to me, my products are the consulting services I offer and the training I offer, right? If I think about going international, having a local partner is really the way to do it. All the big companies, Square, Airbnb, you name it, any big company out there. And I'm thinking of Square because I'm consulting for them right now for the international product team. So the way to think about going international is to find specialists in that country who understand the local market, and they can give you tips on what language you can use, how to dress, how to interact, what might be the audience demographic. So I was going in blind, right? So I grew up in the Middle East, but I haven't worked there. So obviously I used my family as a sounding board on what to wear, what language I can use in the materials. So for example, I use the word kick-ass in the US because it's very much in our vocabulary. That's not something I could use in the Middle East. So I deliberately made that switch to be very sensitive to the local culture. Mm-hmm. And I was doing the event during Ramadan. In the holy month of Ramadan, the people who are fasting by 5 o'clock in the evening are so tired. That's not the best time to do the event, right? So we found a time that worked for everybody. It was earlier in the day. And so we had an audience that was partially hungry when they came in. So how do I keep them engaged, right? So you have to put a lot of thought in the little nuances of the experience of the user. Because to me, they're my customers in that moment. I'm not actually selling. They're not paying me for anything, but I'm sharing my information as a prospective future customer who would come and sign up for a training course, or may buy a book in the future, or may buy, like some sort of a webinar in the future. But that's a prospective customer. And I want to think about their experience in their day of spending time with me. And I thought about it when we did the panel, the panel we discussed earlier. I didn't realize there were going to be 200 people at that panel attending. So when I walked in, I was like, oh my God, this is much bigger than I had imagined. And I have this description in the panel, in the article, because you sometimes just don't know what you'll get, and you have to be okay to roll with it. And Toastmasters really helped me with that, with those extempore speeches, sort of putting myself out there consistently at a young age, because now I'm capitalizing on that. That was 10 years ago, right? Because of that, I capitalized it at work. And so it's building on everything you do, because you don't know what's around the corner, and you don't know why you're doing certain things today. They will make sense in the future eventually.
Right. So this all speaks to the fact that you build on top of everything, right? So I don't want people to walk away saying, well, of course she got that gig. Look, all the stuff she had under her belt. Well, she started somewhere, right, Angela? Like you started to write, and you started to build your website, and you started put yourself out there. So you have a professional online presence. So when people see it, they actually see all the quality come out, because the quality was there, right? She was fully capable of giving great speeches and of putting out great writing, but if she's not presenting it in a way that really transmits that value to the person who's reading it, she was just going to stay stuck. So it's really important to be very aware of where you're starting and build on top of it and start to get bigger and bigger and bigger opportunities, and you'll get there. I mean, it was just a few months, and she was already filling up rooms. So Angela, we are almost out of time, and I want to make sure that everybody knows where to follow you and what to do next.
All right, so perfect. So I would love to share 2 calls to action. One is, if you are interested in product management specifically, I have a selective Facebook group called Creating Brilliant Product Leaders. My mission is to create product leaders that understand strategy, innovation, and execution. That's a gap in the market right now, just from my experience. So I want to share that knowledge in that selective group. You can find it at angelagovila.com/FB, or you can just look up on Facebook, Creating Brilliant Product Leaders. The second thing is I would love for you to join the mailing list. It's at angelagovila.com/sign-up. And once a month, I'm beginning to share real meaty things that are happening in the space of digital product transformation, AI, technology. There's so much happening in the industry that needs to be curated for the right audience. So people who are interested in becoming product leaders or digital leaders, I would say more broadly, should consider signing up to receive this information. Besides that, my website, angelagovila.com, is a great place to just go see what's going on. You can find my YouTube channel, of course. And yeah, hit me up on LinkedIn. Let's stay connected and mention this Facebook Live so I know you're coming from here. And Ina, thank you so much. This was awesome.
And can I just say about the stuff you're going to be putting out on the mailing list? So I wish something like that had been around when I was in product management, because I was always looking for ways to innovate, and I'm here like trying to Google things that are outside of my company, right? Because when you are in your company and you are the expert, it's like, okay, where do you go to get your knowledge? So I wish I could have just signed onto your mailing list, and then once a month you tell me what's up, and I can go back and look really smart to my boss that, look, but this is the industry standard now. That sounds really super helpful to people in the industry. So Angela, thank you so much for joining us, and everybody stick around because I got something else for you. But Angela, have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Thank you so much for coming.
And thank you for having me.
Best of luck.
I'll talk to you soon. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, Angie.
All right, guys, that was my dear friend Angela Govila. Isn't she amazing? I'm telling you, powerhouse of a woman. And guess what? Like, anyone can do this. You just have to know what to do, right? It's not about who makes it. It's about what they do to get there, and you can do it. She just gave you a whole bunch of really good tips for you to just go and take action, so just don't delay. I have a new challenge, and it is called Hobby Zero to Business Hero. What that means is, if you have ideas, or if you're feeling like, you really want to explore those business ideas that you've been thinking about for a while, I want you to come over to the challenge, because we're going to be discussing your idea. Is it a good one? Is it the perfect one for you? And we're going to discuss the business model that you should be following that will be skyrocket your idea like right away. Who your target audience is, right? Who are you speaking to? Does your target audience even like that idea? We're gonna go out there and get you your first client. All right. And the last thing is your website, because just as you heard Angela talk about this, you need a professional presence out there, because you could have the best stuff in the world, but if your presence is not up to par, it's not up there, people are just not going to understand all the value that you have. Super important. So on that last day of this challenge, I am going to show you what are the factors that make a website a winning website. So you don't want to miss this. It is a 5-day challenge. It's for you. It's completely free. It starts on July 9th. And to sign up, you just go to inacoveney.com/hero, and I will see you there. So don't miss it. There's also an exclusive Facebook group for this challenge, and I'm going to be giving you one-on-one advice. So be there or be square. All right, guys. It's so nice to talk to you. I will chat with you next time. Have a wonderful weekend ahead. Goodbye, world. I will see you next time. Did you know this show comes out every weekday? Check out some more episodes, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss another one on your commute.